Welcome back to our channel. Today, we embark on a journey into the enduring masterpiece, Once Upon a Time in the West, unveiled in 1968. Come along as we delve into the extraordinary journeys and professional trajectories of the exceptional cast members, mapping their trajectories from yesteryears to the present day in 2024. But prepare yourself, as this narrative is punctuated by sorrowful turns that have etched an enduring legacy in the annals of Hollywood, shaping the destinies of these unforgettable luminaries. Jason Robards as Manuel Cheyenne Gutierrez. Manuel Cheyenne Gutierrez is the third most important character in Sergio Leone's 1968 spaghetti western film Once Upon a Time in the West. He is a bandit who was wrongly accused of the slaughter of the McBain family by the merciless assassin Frank, and he is determined to prove his innocence. Robards relocated to New York City and commenced his career in radio and theater. His debut role was in the 1947 short film Follow That Music. His major breakthrough came when he landed the leading part in Jose Quintero's 1956 off-Broadway theater revival production and subsequently in the 1960 television adaptation of O'Neill's The Iceman Cometh, embodying the philosophical salesman Hickey. He received an Obie Award for his theatrical performance. He reprised the role of Hickey in another 1985 Broadway revival, also directed by Quintero. Robards portrayed Dr. Russell Oakes in the 1983 television movie The Day After. He starred as James Tyrone Sr. in a 1988 rendition of the same play. Additionally, Robards appeared on stage in a revival of O'Neill's Ah, Wilderness, 1988, under the direction of Arvin Brown, as well as in Harold Pinter's No Man's Land, 1994. In 1972, Robards sustained severe injuries in a car accident when his vehicle collided with the side of a mountain on a winding California road, necessitating extensive surgery and facial reconstruction. The accident might have been linked to his prolonged battle with alcoholism. Robards conquered his addiction and subsequently advocated for alcoholism awareness. Robards had a deep interest in and knowledge of the American Civil War, which influenced his portrayal of the voice of Ulysses S. Grant in the Civil War series produced by filmmaker Ken Burns. Robards resided in the Southport area of Fairfield, Connecticut. He passed away from lung cancer in Bridgeport, Connecticut on December 26, 2000. Charles Bronson as Harmonica. Harmonica serves as the secondary protagonist in Sergio Leone's 1968 spaghetti western film Once Upon a Time in the West. He is an enigmatic gunslinger driven by a desire for vengeance against Frank for the brutal torture and murder of his brother. Following the conclusion of World War II, Bronson engaged in various odd jobs until he was hired by a theatrical troupe in Philadelphia to assist with set painting, which eventually led to opportunities for minor acting roles. Subsequently, he shared living quarters in New York City with Jack Klugman, who was then aspiring to establish himself as an actor. Eventually, Bronson relocated to Hollywood, where he enrolled in acting classes at the Pasadena Playhouse. Bronson's final leading role in a theatrically released film was in 1994's Death Wish 5, The Face of Death. The movie received mixed reviews, with many critics expressing dissatisfaction with its perceived dullness and excessive violence, and Bronson himself reportedly grew weary of reprising the same character. Between 1995 and 1999, Bronson starred in a trilogy of television films as Commissioner Paul Fine, the head of a family of law enforcement officers. These productions included Family of Cops, 1995, Breach of Faith, A Family of Cops 2, 1997, and Family of Cops 3, 1999. Bronson passed away at the age of 81 on August 30, 2003, at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles. Although pneumonia and Alzheimer's disease have been cited as potential factors contributing to his demise, neither condition was listed on his official death certificate, which attributed his passing to respiratory failure and metastatic lung cancer, with secondary causes identified as chronic obstructive pulmonary disease and congestive cardiomyopathy. He was laid to rest at Brownsville Cemetery in West Windsor, Vermont. Gabrielle Feretti as Morton, railroad baron. Gabrielle Feretti portrayed Morton, the railroad tycoon, alongside renowned actors Henry Fonda and Charles Bronson. Feretti made his cinematic debut in Via delle Cinque Lune, 1942, under the direction of Luigi Chiarini, sharing the screen with performers such as Luisella Beghi, Olga Solbelli, Andrea Cecchi, and Gildo Bocci. Although uncredited for his subsequent role in Benghazi, he received billing for Flavio Calzavara's La Contessa Castiglione, also from 1942. Feretti assumed the role of a Turkish brigadier in another of Young's films, the historical war drama Inchon, 1981, starring Laurence Olivier as General Douglas MacArthur. He featured in Vatican Conspiracy, Morte in Vaticano, 1982, directed by Marcello Aliprandi, and co-starred with Franco Nero in the criminal comedy Grog, also 1982, helmed by Francesco Laudadio, which depicted the exploits of two fugitives who escaped from prison and took a doctor's family hostage. During the 2000s, Feretti made appearances in Lost Love, Perduto Amor, 2003, directed by Franco Battiato, in Concorso di Colpa, E.T., 2005, directed by Claudio Fragasso, and in Io sono l'amore, 2009, directed by Luca Guadagnino. Among his notable post-1996 portrayals is that of Nono in the French series Una Famille Formidable, in which he featured in 11 episodes spanning from 1996 to 2007. He essayed the character of Enrico in Eduardo Leo's comedic film, 18 Years Later, 18 anni dopo, 2010, which starred Marco Bonini in the lead role. Feretti passed away on December 2, 2015, at the age of 90. Woody Strode as Stony, member of Frank's gang. Woody Strode portrayed a gunslinger in the opening scene of Once Upon a Time in the West, 1968. Strode made his film debut in Sundown, 1941, where he played the role of a native police officer. He had a minor part in Star-Spangled Rhythm, 1942, portraying the chauffeur of Rochester, Edward Anderson, and also appeared briefly in No Time for Love, 1943. He had a supporting role in Tarzan's Fight for Life, 1958, and a small role in The Buccaneer, 1958. In 1959, he depicted the conflicted character of Private Franklin in Pork Chop Hill, a role that earned him critical acclaim. He described it as the first significant dramatic role of my career. He made a guest appearance on The Man from Black Hawk, 1960. His first spouse was Princess Lucia Luana Kalealoa, also known as Luana Strode, who was distantly related to Liliuokalani, the last queen of Hawaii. The way the white people in Hollywood reacted, you would have thought I was marrying Lana Turner, he later remarked. Together they had two children, television director Kalai, also known as Kalealoa, 1946-2014, and a daughter, June. Their marriage lasted until her passing in 1980 due to Parkinson's disease. In 1982, at the age of 68, he married Tina Thompson, who was 35 at the time, and they remained wedded until his death from lung cancer on December 31, 1994, in Glendora, California, at the age of 80. He was laid to rest at Riverside National Cemetery in Riverside, California. Strode was deeply involved in martial arts, studying Seishindo Kenpo under the tutelage of Frank Landers. The character Sheriff Woody from the animated Toy Story film series was named in homage to Strode, as was the recurring role of the Santa Barbara coroner in the television show Psych, Claudia Cardinale as Jill McBain. Claudia Cardinale is most renowned for her portrayal of former prostitute Jill McBain in Sergio Leone's monumental western Once Upon a Time in the West. Cardinale's initial foray into film involved collaborating with classmates on a short film directed by French filmmaker René Vautier, titled Anneau d'Or, which garnered success at the Berlin Film Festival. This project catapulted her to minor local fame and caught the attention of Jacques Baratier, who offered her a small role in Goha. In 2010, Cardinale was honored with the Golden Orange Best Actress Award at the 47th Antalya Golden Orange International Film Festival for her portrayal of an elderly Italian woman who takes in a young Turkish exchange student in Signora Enrica. This Turkish-Italian co-production was filmed in various locations in Istanbul and Rimini. In 2020, Cardinale starred in the Swiss miniseries Bully. Later that year, she appeared in the Netflix movie Rogue City, which became the second most streamed film on the platform during its opening weekend. Claudia Cardinale crossed paths with Italian film producer Franco Cristaldi in 1958. According to Cardinale, the couple had a ceremonial wedding but never officially married, and their relationship gradually deteriorated over time. Cristaldi later wed Zuti Araya and severed ties with Cardinale. Cardinale shared a home with Pasquale Squitieri, an Italian filmmaker, for 42 years, from 1975 until Squitieri's passing on 18th of February 2017 at the age of 78. Cardinale is the mother of 2 children, Patrick, who was born when she was 19 and later adopted by Cristaldi, and Claudia, whom she had with Squitieri. Cardinale is proficient in Arabic, French, Italian, English, and Spanish. Her niece Francesca is also active in the acting industry. Keenan Wynn as Sheriff, Auctioneer. Keenan Wynn portrayed the role of Sheriff, Auctioneer in the series. Wynn kick-started his career as a stage performer, gracing the Broadway stage with his presence in numerous productions, including Remember the Day, 1935, Black Widow, 1936, Hitch Your Wagon, 1937, The Star Wagon, 1938, One for the Money, 1939, Two for the Show, 1940, and The More the Merrier, 1941. Wynn took on the lead role in the radio drama The Amazing Mr. Smith, which aired on the Mutual Broadcasting System from April 7th to June 30th, 1941. His character, a carefree young man entangled in a series of misadventures who inadvertently becomes a detective, captivated audiences. He portrayed Charles Picker Dobbs in a 1982 installment of The Love Boat. In 1983, he made guest appearances in one of the final episodes of Taxi and Quincy, M.E. In 1984, he headlined the made-for-television movie Call to Glory, which later transitioned into a weekly TV series. Wynn was wed to former stage performer Eve Lynn Abbott, 1914-2004, until their divorce in 1947, following which Abbott married actor Van Johnson, a close friend of the couple. Abbott maintained that her marriage to Wynn was a joyful union, but rumors circulated that their split and her subsequent marriage to Johnson were orchestrated by MGM studio head Louis B. Mayer. Mayer purportedly refused to renew Wynn's contract unless Abbott divorced him and wed Johnson, who was rumored to be homosexual. In his later years, Wynn dedicated himself to various philanthropic causes and extended support to numerous charitable organizations. He actively participated in the Westwood Sertoma Service Club in West Los Angeles for an extended period. During his final days, Wynn battled pancreatic cancer, succumbing to the illness on October 14, 1986. His remains were laid to rest in Glendale's Forest Lawn Memorial Park, in the Great Mausoleum, Daffodil Corridor, Columbarium of the Dawn, in a niche alongside his father Ed Wynn, his daughter Emily, February 13, 1960, November 27, 1980, who passed away from lupus, and his aunt, Paolo Stoppa as Sam. Paolo Stoppa portrayed the character Sam in the series. Stoppa's most renowned accomplishments emerged post-World War II when he crossed paths with director Luchino Visconti. Together with Stoppa's spouse, actress Rina Morelli, they formed a triumvirate, delivering acclaimed adaptations of literary works by authors like Chekhov, Shakespeare, and Goldoni. His dynamic performances injected a distinctive flair into the theater. He made his television debut in 1960 in the drama series Vita col padre e con la madre, soaring to fame in the 1970s, particularly in adaptations of crime novels by Friedrich Dürrenmatt, Il giudice e il suo boia, and Il sospetto, and Augusto De Angelis. As a cinematic artist, Stoppa amassed approximately 194 credits between 1932 and his retirement in 1983, featuring in revered classics such as Miracolo a Milano, 1921, Rocco e i suoi fratelli, 1960, Viva l'Italia, 1961, Il Gattopardo, 1963, La Matriarca, 1968, and Amici miei atto secco, 1982. Stoppa also gained renown as a prominent Italian film dubber. He commenced this endeavor in the 1930s, lending his voice to Fred Astaire. Among other actors, he provided Italian dubbing for Richard Widmark, Kirk Douglas, and Paul Mooney. Stoppa was initiated into the Scottish Rite Freemasonry. He passed away from leukemia on May 1st, 1988. Jack Elam as Snaky, member of Frank's gang. Jack Elam portrayed Snaky, a member of Frank's gang in the series. Elam marked his screen debut in 1949 with She Shoulda Said No, an exploitation film highlighting the downfall of a chorus girl due to habitual marijuana use, ultimately leading to her brother's suicide. Throughout the subsequent decade, Elam predominantly appeared in gangster flicks and westerns, solidifying his presence as a dependable and memorable antagonist or villain. By the late 1950s, numerous American media outlets and cinema audiences dubbed him as the screen's most detestable character. In 1986, Elam co-starred in the short-lived comedy series Easy Street as Alvin Bully Stevenson, the down-on-his-luck uncle of Lonnie Anderson's character, L.K. McGuire. 2 years later, he shared the screen with Willie Nelson in the made-for-television movie Where the Hell's That Gold? In 1994, Elam received induction into the Hall of Great Western Performers of the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum in Oklahoma City, OK. Elam entered matrimony twice, initially tying the knot with John Louise Hodgert in 1937 until her passing from colon cancer on January 24, 1961. 7 months later, in August 1961, Elam entered into his second marriage with Margaret M. Jennison. Their union endured for 42 years until 2003, when Jack succumbed to congestive heart failure at their residence in Ashland, Oregon. Lionel Stander as Barman. Lionel Stander is best remembered for his portrayal of Max, a bartender, in Sergio Leone's Once Upon a Time in the West. Stander's journey in the acting realm commenced in 1928, when he took on the roles of cop and first fairy in Him by E. Cummings, staged at the Provincetown Playhouse. He humorously recounted securing the role due to his proficiency in shooting craps, a skill requested for one of the characters, thanks to a friend's recommendation within the company. Throughout the early 1930s, he appeared in a string of short-lived theatrical productions, including The House Beautiful, famously criticized by Dorothy Parker as the lousy play. Stander assumed a supporting role in the television film Revenge is My Destiny, alongside Chris Robinson. His portrayal depicted a lounge comedian inspired by the real-life Las Vegas entertainer Joe E. Lewis, known for kicking off his performances with the phrase post-time while savoring his ever-present beverage. Stander entered into matrimony 6 times, exchanging vows with Lucy Dietz, 1928-1936, Alice Twitchell, 1938-1942, Vehana Monteagle, 1945-1950, Diana Radbeck, 1953-1963, Maria Penn, 1963-1967, and Stephanie Van Hennick, 1971-1994. All unions concluded in divorce except for his final marriage, which persisted until his passing. He was the proud father of 6 daughters. Stander succumbed to lung cancer in Los Angeles, California in 1994 at the age of 86. Frank Wolff as Brett McBain. Frank Wolff portrayed Brett McBain in the series. Wolff's early film appearances were minor, including roles in Roger Corman's I, Mobster and the Wasp Woman. The former, a 1958 gangster drama in black and white, didn't even credit Wolff, while the latter, a campy horror filmed in 1959, featured him in a single memorable scene as the owner of a cosmetics business who transforms into the monster. Wolff tragically took his own life by slashing his throat in the bathroom of his Rome hotel room at the age of 43 on December 12, 1971. Battling severe depression for an extended period, Wolff was estranged from his wife Alice Campbell, who resided in Rome like him. One theory suggests that Wolff initially harmed himself with a razor blade, then, dropping it, resorted to another blade to sever his carotid artery, leading to fatal cerebral anemia. His body was discovered by a 24-year-old Austrian acquaintance on the same day, and authorities concluded that he had inflicted the fatal wounds upon himself. Speculation arose that his unrequited affection for the young woman may have compounded Wolff's anguish, which had been exacerbated by his wife's departure for another man, Henry Fonda as Frank. Frank is the primary antagonist in Sergio Leone's 1968 monumental spaghetti western movie Once Upon a Time in the West. He embodies ruthlessness and sadism, hired by the railroad magnate Mr. Morton to manipulate McBain into vacating the land. However, Frank opts for a more extreme route, eliminating McBain and his family, driven solely by his desire to eliminate Harmonica and Cheyenne. At 20 years old, Fonda embarked on his acting journey at the Omaha Community Playhouse, encouraged by Dodie Brando, a friend of his mother, and mother of Marlon Brando. He debuted in You and I, securing the role of Ricky. Fascinated by the stage, Fonda immersed himself in all aspects of theater, from set construction to stagecraft, although he felt self-conscious about his acting abilities. Despite nearing his 70s, Fonda remained active in theater, TV, and cinema during the 1970s. In 1970, he featured in 3 films, with the Cheyenne Social Club being the most notable. The other 2 were Too Late the Hero, where Fonda assumed a supporting role, and There Was a Crooked Man, depicting Paris Pittman Jr.'s, portrayed by Kirk Douglas, escape from an Arizona prison. Fonda passed away at his residence in Los Angeles on August 12, 1982, succumbing to heart disease. His wife, Shirley, along with his children Jane and Peter, were by his side. Although he battled prostate cancer, it was not a direct cause of death, merely listed as a concurrent illness on his death certificate. Al Mulock as Knuckles. Al Mulock is best remembered for his roles in spaghetti western films, particularly his collaborations with Sergio Leone in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly and Once Upon a Time in the West. Born Alfred Mulock Rogers on June 30, 1926, in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, he was the only child of Adele Cawthra Mulock and Alfred Rogers. On his mother's side, he descended from the affluent Mulock family, led by Sir William Mulock, KCMG, the former Postmaster General of Canada and one of the wealthiest families in the then Dominion of Canada. He trained at Lee Strasberg's Actors Studio in New York City, USA. Later, alongside David de Keyser, he co-founded the London Studio, which introduced method acting to British actors. Mulock became active in the British film industry in the 1950s and early 1960s, appearing in numerous British television series and films. Mulock's life ended tragically when he took his own life by jumping from his hotel room in Guadix, Granada, Spain, in May 1968 during the filming of Once Upon a Time in the West. At the time of his fall, he was dressed in his cowboy costume. Mickey Knox, the film's screenwriter and production manager Claudio Mancini, witnessed the incident as his body passed their hotel window. Mulock survived the fall, but sustained a pierced lung from a broken rib during the rough journey to the hospital. Before he was taken away in the ambulance, director Sergio Leone reportedly shouted, "Get the costume! We need the costume!" Al Mulock was the great-grandson of Sir William Mulock, the former Canadian Postmaster General. He was married to actress Steffi Henderson, who passed away in 1967. They had one child, Robin Mulock, now known as Eclipse Nielsen, who is a screenwriter and artist. Aldo Sambrell as Cheyenne's lieutenant. Aldo Sambrell portrayed Cheyenne's lieutenant in the series. Born in Vallecas on February 23, 1931, Sambrell traveled to Mexico due to his parents' exile, where he started a football career with Puebla FC, known as Madrileño Sanchez, and also played for CF Monterrey. Upon returning to Spain, he played for Alcoyano and Rayo Vallecano before transitioning to acting. Sambrell gained cinematic fame for his roles as a henchman in Sergio Leone's spaghetti western films, appearing as gang members in A Fistful of Dollars, 1964, For a Few Dollars More, 1965, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, 1966. He also featured in Once Upon a Time in the West, 1968, and 100 Rifles, 1969. Sambrell played the firing squad leader in A Fistful of Dynamite, 1971, and was a member of Sinbad's crew in The Golden Voyage of Sinbad, 1973. Additionally, he appeared alongside Jackie Chan in Armor of God 2, Operation Condor as a villain. Sambrell acted in numerous other westerns, including Sergio Corbucci's Navajo Joe. He also appeared in several international productions as an extra or bit actor, including Dr. Zhivago and The Wind and the Lion. He passed away in Alicante, Spain on July 10, 2010, from a cerebral infarction at age 79, following 3 strokes in early June. He was cremated, and his ashes were scattered at Fort Bravo, Tabernas. He was married to Cádida López Cano, with whom he had a son, and Sergio Leone served as his best man. Benito Stefanelli as Frank's lieutenant. Benito Stefanelli portrayed Frank's lieutenant in the series. Stefanelli is renowned in the world of cinema for his roles as henchman in several of Sergio Leone's spaghetti western films, playing gang members in A Fistful of Dollars, 1964, For a Few Dollars More, 1965, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, 1966. He also appeared as the town drunk in Wanted, 1967, starring Giuliano Gemma and Serge Marquand. Throughout his career, Stefanelli appeared in numerous other Western films and worked simultaneously as a stunt coordinator, especially during the 1960s and early 1970s, on the films he performed in, including those of Sergio Leone. A fluent English speaker, he reportedly served as Clint Eastwood's interpreter along with Bill Tompkins on the set of A Fistful of Dollars. Don Galloway as member of Frank's gang in flashback. Don Galloway played a member of Frank's gang in a flashback in the film. On April 16, 1962, Galloway appeared in the off-Broadway production of the play Bring Me a Warm Body. Although the production ran for only 16 performances, he earned a Theatre World Award for his performance. Galloway's television career began in 1962 with the New York-based soap opera The Secret Storm, where he was the first actor to portray Kip Rysdale. He then played law clerk Mitchell Harris in 26 episodes of the short-lived TV drama Arrest and Trial, 1963-64, and appeared in Tom, Dick, and Mary, one-third of the 90-minute weekly sitcom 90 Bristol Court, which aired from 1964 to 1965. In 1963, Galloway signed with Universal Studios and guest-starred on numerous TV series, including The Virginian, Wagon Train, Convoy, and Run for Your Life. On March 28, 1967, Galloway starred alongside Raymond Burr in the TV movie Ironside, which depicts the shooting of San Francisco Chief of Detectives Robert Ironside, played by Burr, who was left paralyzed and confined to a wheelchair. The film led to the successful series of the same name, beginning in September of that year. Galloway played Didi Chakant Ed Brown and remained with the show for its 8-season run, appearing in 198 of the 199 episodes. In 1993, Galloway and Burr appeared together on screen for the last time, reprising their Ironside roles along with fellow co-stars Don Mitchell, Barbara Anderson, and Elizabeth Bauer in the TV reunion movie The Return of Ironside. After retiring from acting, Galloway briefly worked as a deputy sheriff for the San Bernardino County, California, Sheriff's Department. He later lived in Hooksett, New Hampshire, and wrote a column for the Manchester Union Leader. Galloway passed away at age 71 at the renowned Regional Medical Center in Reno, Nevada, after suffering a stroke 2 weeks earlier. Robert Hossein as member of Frank's gang in flashback. Robert Hossein portrayed a member of Frank's gang in flashback within Once Upon a Time in the West. Hossein commenced his directorial career in 1955 with Les Salauds vont en enfer, adapted from a tale by Frédéric Dard, whose literary works provided Hossein with much of his subsequent film material. Right from his debut, Hossein established his distinctive hallmarks, employing ostensibly straightforward suspense narratives and challenging their conventions, occasionally ignoring the traditional requirement for a final twist or revelation, to focus on ritualistic relationships. In 1967, he served on the jury of the 5th Moscow International Film Festival. His film Les Misérables in 1982 was featured at the 13th Moscow International Film Festival, where it earned a special prize. Nevertheless, due to limited commercial success and ongoing critical backlash, Hossein essentially concluded his filmmaking career by 1970, concentrating instead on theater, where his accomplishments were undisputed. He returned to filmmaking only twice thereafter. Except for a few, his films remain largely unavailable commercially and are exceedingly difficult to access. Robert Hossein's grandfather hailed from Azerbaijan. His father, Andrei Hossein, was an Iranian-Azerbaijani composer, while his mother, Anna Minkovsky, was a Jewish comedic actress from Soroka, Bessarabia. He married thrice, first to Marina Vlady, originally Marina Polyakov. They had 2 sons, Pierre and Igor, born on December 23, 1955, and later on June 7, 1962, to Caroline Eliashev, daughter of Françoise Giroud. They had a son, Nicholas, who later became Rabbi Aaron Eliachev. Hossein passed away from COVID-19 on December 31, 2020, one day after celebrating his 93rd birthday during the COVID-19 pandemic in France. It's with profound sadness that we recall the unfortunate destiny that befell all these gifted individuals. Their remarkable portrayals on screen and the enduring legacies they've bestowed upon us remind us starkly of life's transience. Remember to show your support by liking, sharing, and subscribing for more captivating revelations about beloved movies.